Sir, are you ready, sir?
Yes, I'm
Can we
ready.
start our program?
Yes, we can start. I hope you can see me and can listen to me.
Sir, you are audible and visible also.
Okay.
Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, to another awesome session of Atal's Online FTP 2021. All participants are requested to mute themselves and maintain discipline throughout the session. The attendance link will be given during the session. Now the time has come to begin our second session of the day, which is on the topic geospatial intelligence. Do you know geospatial intelligence careers often refer it as a calling rather than a job? So what exactly is it? All of us are really intent to know more about this. Without taking much of your time, I'd like to request our honorable guest and a very dynamic speaker, Dr. Narayan Panigrahi from DRDO Bangalore, to make us aware of geospatial intelligence and intensify our knowledge in this field. We are glad to have such an esteemed person with us today. He has been currently working as scientist and head GIS division DRDO Bangalore. I'm fortunate enough to inform you that he's a PhD holder and research scholar from IIT Bombay and has done his MTech in computer science and data processing from IIT Kharagpur. And I'd like to request him to take the session forward and pour some light on this topic. Please, sir.
Shall I start?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, and good morning to all those who are joined in this program, Pan India True Network. And you must have just finished a very involving session with Professor Sarju Mahanti. And this talk is about geospatial intelligence. First of all, before I start, I must thank Professor Devsis Gotia, the organizer of such an interesting workshop. I will say summer workshop involving so many people across India and of course across globe. This is a very tiring time. Therefore, instead of actual a physical presence, a virtual presence, and giving a talk on geointelligence, I felt it is rather keeping it to mathematical. I'll keep it as simple as possible through many of the visuals, many of the outputs to make the message clear. Therefore, my talk will be based on whatever I have worked. As you know, most of right now the whole world is about, the buzzword is artificial intelligence, and I do work in geographical information system and science. Therefore, I'll try to connect how artificial intelligence is metamorphosed itself to help geographical information science and system to extract intelligence from the spatial data, and that is what is known as geointelligence. So I will, in the first half of my talk, I will be delving upon the science of geographical information system, and the next half will be little bit about artificial intelligence and how artificial intelligence used for spatial data and geographical information system creates AI GIS or GIS AI, leading to geointelligence and actionable intelligence in armed forces or in civil domain. So that will be the outline of my talk. And mostly I will be covering one of the, as you know, first of all, both artificial intelligence and geographic information system are two applied systems, where the in case of geographical information system, first the system has come towards 1960 when photogrammetry and remote sensing emerged. Geographical information system almost emerged during that time. So it is the system which has emerged first. Thereafter, in 1985, the science of geographical information came into existence. And now various systems are coming. As you know, mostly the science comes first. When science consolidates in form of hypotheses, in form of definitions, in terms of theories, then it consolidates, giving rise to computations, giving rise to mathematical formulas. Finally, the system technology comes into being. From science transit to technology takes about maybe couple of decades. Then the technology catches the imagination of people to make it systems. But unlike that, in geographic information system, the system has come first, then the science came, and now many system, the technology is being used for many systems. Like in 1946, the summer school, like this, we are having a summer school. 1956, John McCarthy called for a summer school of interdisciplinary people. I mean, researchers, teachers, students from different field of life. Basically, mathematicians thought of how to solve the Turing problem of computation. Hello? Hello? Any questions? Yeah. So they all assembled in a summer school to solve Turing problem. But what emerged is the today the buzzword artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence was coined by the summer school which was held. Probably now we are holding a summer school. I hope something will emerge from it. John McCarthy coined the term artificial intelligence. Therefore, the artificial intelligence had taken a long time. Now it is being utilized in forming many other systems. So therefore, how artificial intelligence is going to enrich geographical information system, giving to I mean computing geographical spatial data to give geospatial intelligence will be my emphasis. Right now I will be running down few of the concepts that I've elaborated in this book known as Geographical Information Science. It is a CRC publication as well as university press publication, one of the book which is being taught in many universities and colleges. Therefore, if I just take what is a geographical information system, you can see I see the Earth through all the remote sensing satellites, through aerial sensors, through UAVs, and capture the data, the scene of the Earth features. Then this data in the form of, if it is captured through analog means, can be converted to this data is being kept, and thereafter this raster data or analog data is converted to vector data. So they are being digitized. So you get digital raster maps, digital vector maps, digital terrain in form of digital elevation models. And those digital data are the spatial data. Because why it is spatial data? Because it has spatial component. It is a space component. Space component means it has a latitude, longitude, and altitude and depth. So it has latitude, longitude, altitude, and depth. Very, very vast in number, the satellite image. So what you get is the vector data in the form of digital raster maps, satellite images, digital vector data, and raster data. And this data is being put into a metadata in the form of geodetic datum. Very important. Geodetic datum means you model the Earth. Mathematically, you model the Earth and infuse that model to the data. So the spatial data or a satellite, I'll just take for example a satellite image with the geodetic datum gives the shape of Earth to visualize the terrain. So you put a geodetic datum in the form of ellipsoid, spheroid, geoid, or many other mathematical forms, and sometimes it's WGS 84. One of its specific is World Geodetic Datum. Then you put this data and project it. So you project that data to a flat screen. Okay, then you get the spatial visualization of the terrain in the form of 2D satellite images, 2D digital maps, 3D digital elevation models, surface models, and in fact you can have a fly through or walk through over the terrain virtually. Therefore, I've just given the how the data captured from Earth through sensors positioned in the space in the form of analog images and converted into vector data in the form of digitized vector maps, and how they are infused with the geodetic datum, that is the model of the Earth, to make geospatial data. I say spatial data means any data which involve latitude, longitude, altitude, and depth. Now, geospatial data only to Earth is known as geospatial data, and from there you can visualize, analyze, and you can do many of the computations, modeling, and simulation to visualize the terrain as it is and measure. So this is what a geographical information in nutshell do. A very simplistic way of how do you compute, acquire, transform, compute, and analyze, visualize the geospatial data. That is what a geographical information system do. Therefore, to objectively specify a software, a system, you need to know what are the input that it can process. A geographical information system can process the satellite raster maps in the form of which is obtained through UAVs, oblique photogrammetry, photography, through satellites, all things in the form of different formats of images. So they are, if I put it, it's all aerial images. Satellite images also is a form of aerial images. How these aerial images are being put, and from there you can get digitized vector maps. Actually, the skeletal form of a satellite image, like the negative of a positive image of a human being, you can have a vector map. Then if a road is there, what is the road is about, whether it's a two-way road, whether it's a all-weather road, whether it's a metal road, all these things is attribute part of it. If it's a house, then house is how many buildings, all is about attribute. So this part, if I see this part, is about special representation. So where it is, now this is what it is, attribute data. Similarly, the elevation, how the terrain undulation looks like, which can be obtained through a lidar, GPS, DGPS, and lidar position and like digital terrain elevation data, national mariners elevation data, then grid and tin. All this data are being the data visualized and analyzed Earth surface. Then marine navigation charts. Vast part of Earth is sea. So if you say precisely 72.5% of Earth's surface is sea. So how do you represent the sea? That is through a marine navigation charts or bathymetry chart. So that is also an input, part of the input for geographical information system. Mathematical parameters which give the shape to the digital maps in the form of ellipsoid, geoid, spheroid. That is the mathematical form. Then how do you project that 3D form of the object into a 2D to see it in our digital screen? And that is a digital map. So the projection, projecting the 3D surface to a 2D planar surface, and that is a digital map, plain paper or a tabletop or a digital screen like a computer screen. So bringing the actual 3D terrain to 2D visualization. Then how the intervening weather looks like, how the meteorological data plays a crucial importance to visualize the scene is very important. The almanac and meteorological data, all these data forms the input domain. Still there are some more form of data. So these are the input data which can be defined as the input domain. Therefore, if I want to represent them visually, geospatial input domain looks like this. Maybe a scan map, a map actually prepared through cartography, to process of a cartographic process can be scanned as a scanned raster map. It can be in the form of digitized vector map. The scanned maps, object-wise roads, contours, locations, you are putting in the form of digitized vector maps. Then it can be a satellite image classified, color classified satellite image. This is somewhere water, this is somewhere glaciated region, this is topography with some vegetation, some elevation, or I can say these are the hills, and how this can be classified. So classifying the terrain through the natural classes and giving a color code for understanding the topography is satellite image or the raster image with a color coded classification. Very, very important. Similarly, I have given that how the same topography, how with elevation, this very low elevation, relatively a high elevation, then relatively more high elevation, then relatively very, very high elevation. Probably this is the top of the hill. This is a lake bed somewhere between the hill and the lake and the top of the hill. So this is how elevation is represented thematic. So thematic way of color coding the elevation maps, all these forms the input as well as some of the outputs of a geographical information system. Therefore, as I said, vast part of terrain is about bathymetric data. You can see this is how the sea is represented. You cannot actually acquire sea depth through a remote sensing process. It can penetrate only about 5 meters from the sea surfaces, but you can represent them through various process by obtaining through sonar the depths. You can see each of the fathom depths. You see, these are the contours of depth. So the sea, if I say this is somewhere Visakhapatnam port, the port goes inside. This is the satellite image. There we have laid a vector image. So this is the surface part of it. Looks there are some houses, buildings, there are some localities, and this is the sea. So this is the bathymetric part of it, and this is the topographic part of it. So a topobathymetric surface representing both land and sea can be visualized using geographical information system. But how I can represent, how I can compute this depth, how I can make use of this depth for navigation is very, very important. So geographical information system gives a way of analyzing and visualizing both topography surface and bathymetric surface. Now the height here and the depth here. Can I find an area here which is of a uniform depth in the sea floor? Is very, very important. If a ship is entering from here, is he getting a clearance from its bottom so that it is not touching the seabed? It has to have some depth clearance. Can it be possible? Therefore, all these things are being taken care by geographical information system to navigate a ship in the sea safely. This is how a terrain looks like, undulated terrain surface by the relief of the shadow generated by the sun. So sunlight falls on the terrain, and the shadow of the terrain when look from a oblique looks like this. This is how the undulation of the terrain is looking. So this is a sun shaded relief. So the terrain, these are the high ridges of the mountains. This is a mountain range, and these are all maybe planar surfaces. And this is how the height, the relief of the terrain is depicted through the shadow created by the sun at a particular angle within particular azimuth elevation. Then a sun shaded relief. Similarly, you can have a moon shaded relief. So this is how a terrain represents by geographical information system. Therefore, basically, if I just leave it for any of to acquire the terrain data, you somewhere illuminating like sun or moon, illuminate the terrain, and the microwave which is being fallen to this partly gets observed, partly get reflected. The reflected data is being collected by a sensor or by a satellite. This data is being transferred to Earth station and being computed to visualize the actual terrain surface. So this, I will say, is a form of the way remote sensing sensors obtain the terrain profile through direct or indirect means. Indirect means if the sensor placed on the surface, if send some energy, and the energy, reflected energy, it collects back, is known as active sensing. So active remote sensing, if the energy which is being transmitted from sun or from natural sources get reflected, and the reflected energy is being collected, is known as passive remote sensing. So actively and passively the sensor place on the space, satellites or through aerial means, when we collect this data continuously and transfer them to ground station, and the ground station in the we process the data, then we visualize the terrain. So this energy, the profile of the earth surface obtained through energy, is known as remotely sensed data. So remotely sensed data depends upon the kind of sensor that we are placing on the space, and this data is being processed for actually characterizing the terrain. Okay, so remotely sensed data right now, because of the very very vast improvement of remote sensing technologies, we can get this data in almost continuously with a revisit time of almost 1 day of Earth surface, and they are of high spectral resolution, high spatial resolution, and high radiometric resolution. Therefore, terabyte of data and very high data is being right now available for processing to the community. Therefore, one of the fulcrum on which artificial intelligence is being based, that is about big data. Therefore, remote sensing is providing that big data to be processed, and this is a very challenging task. How do you get this remote sensing data collected, accumulated, analyzed, and visualized to extract meaningful information, both for civil purpose and defense purpose, is about remote sensing. Therefore, remote sensing and GIS has made a formidable combination in the community and has given rise to many different algorithms, technologies, and systems. This particular thing that I am depicting is a very interesting thing. This data, suppose seen obliquely, this is the terrain surface, obliquely when seen has a oblique spatial extent. I need to make it as a straight portrait, isn't it? How do I do that? So we establish a correspond between the objects, the location between this image and a image which is taken as far as standard. So I establish a correspondence between this point to this point in the image, this point with this point, and this point to this point, which I can take to establish a polynomial for rest of the pixels of the image to be transformed into a portrait. So this is the image obtained through remote sensing method, through oblique aerial survey, through satellites, or through UAVs. I need to make it a portrait so that I can use it as an ortho image, which is almost akin to a surveyed map, digital map. This is known as affine transformation. I can have similarity transformation, I can have shift to establish this thing. This is a very high active research area in this thing. How do you establish this thing? This not only minimum 3 non-collinear point correspondence is required to establish, to make a such an oblique image to a orthorectified digital correct image where I can find the location of each and object as it is. This is a very highly active area. Affine transformation, similarity transformation, scale invariant feature transformation, many of these things are being used. So these are all computations method. Can I do through artificial intelligence? Is a question, and people are trying using log polar transformation. Can I combine this computational method with machine learning methods to obtain a image, a geometrically incorrect image to a geometrically correct image? Is a very high active area of research. And thereafter, then I just tried to fit the earth with a mathematical surface, I told, isn't it? Try, earth is not a definite geometry. Earlier earth we were saying okay, it's akin to something like a orange shape with polar regions depressed and the equatorial thing bulged, therefore it is like an orange, like a sphere. But no, mathematically it is a spherical surface which is known as geoid, ellipsoid, a spheroid. So how do you put a mathematical surface so that it can represent the earth as it is with less deviation? Is very, very important. This is known as geodesy. So geodesy is about putting the earth surface, placing a mathematical earth surface in such a manner that without much deviation, without much area error, it can represent each and every point of earth on the map. This, when you are putting, this is known as geoid surface, okay, you need to scale reduce the earth, put somewhere where the actual and the surface maybe the gravity is represent properly, the magnetic field is represent properly, the locations are represent properly. So you need to define a mathematical surface for that. That geoid surface, ellipsoid surface is being actually this is the geoid surface, okay, is being actually projected and put it to a mathematical surface with semi-major axis, semi-minor axis, which is known as a geoid, ellipsoid, or a spheroid. And World Geodetic System is a mathematical system agreed upon by most of the countries in world, which is being used as a mathematical surface for representation of locations and maps and for sea navigation. And this is being used in GPS. Thereafter, you put a definite geometry surface like a, you contain that in a cylinder or a cone or a plane, and after that actually you project it. How do you project it? Is exactly like this. The sensor is placed on top, isn't it? Through a satellite or through aerial, the sensor is put. The sensor looks the instantaneous field of view, which it represent this 3D surface. It is representing as a 2D digital surface with some geometric error because of the shock and vibration and because of the instability, because of the intervening atmospheric errors. There is a error which is being injected into this thing, which is known as geometric error and radiometric error. So this geometrically and radiometrically error thing, instantaneous field of view, is now corrected using affine transformation and finally project into a display that we are looking into. So this is data acquisition of the terrain. So therefore there is a lot of transformations are involved in giving us an accurate representation of the terrain. And the coordinate system is, I just fix a world coordinate system to the earth surface, then a sensor coordinate system to the sensor, and finally the world coordinate transformed to a sensor coordinate has to be transformed to a view coordinate. So therefore there is a datum surface transformation, there is a geometric correction, and there is a coordinate transformation. So from universal coordinate to sensor coordinate, from sensor coordinate to device coordinate, and from device coordinate to display coordinate system, transformations are required to actually represent the earth surface. Fine, I hope everybody is getting it. I am still with geographic information system. I think the is getting freeze. Just hold on for a minute. This is exactly, this is how do you represent the spherical surface of this latitude, longitude, a point on this latitude, longitude, even height or depth. How do you represent uniformly into a XY plane? Is a 3D to 2D transform. This is a 3D to 2D transform, and this is a many to one transformation. Means many pixels on the Earth surface get transformed to one. So it is not a function. It's almost a relation. So map projection means projecting the Earth surface onto a 2D planar visualization of the world map or a sectional map or a map of a particular area. Okay, this is what is being done. And before that, you put WGS to this surface, the geoid, ellipsoid, spheroid surface. You put a mathematical definition, that is world geodetic datum 84, and that datum surface is being transformed, which is known as map projection, to make a map, to make a digital map. And this is the exact process I have told. The process flow of the Earth, scale reduce Earth, then put the spheroid or ellipsoid or geoid surface. Then that scale reduced surface is being put into a definite geometry. That geometry is unwrapped to make a map. So a lot of geometric process, lot of mathematical process, lot of cartography is involved to represent the terrain as it is. How quickly this can be done? This was a very involving process earlier known as cartography, one of the ancient science which involves geometry and geodesy. Now, how this can be represented? Suppose I position myself at the center of the Earth. So this exact location on the Earth surface is projected to this point on the map surface. This is known as a central projection. And imagine all of us, we are here right now, one end on the edge of Earth. We all live on the edge of, not inside Earth, edge of Earth. So same point when I look at where it gets projected. So the latitude, longitude over here get projected to a X and Y. So a map is being formed. This is known as a perspective projection. Okay, central projection, perspective projection. When I see the Earth surface from deep space, from aeroplane suppose, so all these things are coming here, isn't it? So this point get projected to this point get projected to this point get projected. So this makes a orthographic projection, ortho projection, seeing the Earth surface from deep space. Therefore, the same location of Earth surface from where it is being made, where you are positioning your eye, where you are positioning your sensor, the map become different. So the points on map which represents a point on the Earth surface will be different for central projection, for perspective projection, and for orthographic projection. So map projection and to find out exact location of Earth surface is a very, very interesting, important application. And when you need to compute in the geospatial location of some of the objects, you need to know what map projection is being used. Is it central projection? Is it a perspective projection? Or is it an orthographic projection? This is very important to know accurately the location of the Earth surface which is being represented by the distance. Therefore, in a nutshell to define, I'm coming to an end of what is geographical information system. Geographical information system is based on a very scientific field known as geographical information science. This geographical information science is a collaborative science which takes the basic principles from cartography. Cartographia is about making of the map to represent the terrain. Geodesy, geodesia, cutting the earth and measuring, that is measuring the radius of earth, height from earth surface, the locations, all about geodesy, the latitude, longitude. So cartography, geodesy, photogrammetry, measuring the location, distance, direction, and all things from photo, from aerial photograph without actually in situ measurement, photogrammetry. Then the remote sensing, how do you acquire the data without actually going to the ground from the space through space. And of course the spherical geometry, which are non-trivial geometry, which are not geometry of r square, r2, it's because these geometry are different. They are known as Euclidean, non-Euclidean geometry. Whatever we have studied is Euclidean geometry. How do you apply non-Euclidean geometry? Then how do you take the data, acquire the data using global positioning system, and taking the bathymetry and spatial statistics and spatial interpolation. All these are the contributing scientific fields for making enriching geographical information science. To a nutshell, I'll say geographical information science is a science of cartography, geometry, remote sensing, spherical geometry, spatial statistics, and spatial interpolation, which conglomerately gives a method to acquire the data to visualize, analyze, measure, and compute Earth-specific objects and features. I hope I am making sense. Therefore, I define, when I am seeing the progress of geographical information science, I see geographical information science as the basic conglomeration of this scientific, pedagogic, and very ancient scientific fields. Okay, so they have taken the basic principles from there. From there, the science has emerged, and from there you can see another circle is the technology, geographic, I will say spatial technology, technology which are the computations which takes care of spatial data in the form of latitude, longitude, altitude, depth, pixels, and other form of data acquired by various sensors. Thereafter, you can see the various other computing methods which are coming out, and you can see some of the methods where it's introducing towards artificial intelligence. You can see PCA, ICA, LDA, AI, machine learning, machine classification. All things are first. It started with how do you solve this problem for highly voluminous remote sensing data. Therefore, when I made a mental picture of geographical information system, I found this core as the science, this as the somehow the computing and computing technology with the aid of computation machine, and these are all very applications and systems that is being emerged. This is how a geographical information system has emerged. And AI is also in part of it. It was introduced. Right now I can in fact change it. There are a lot of AI which has come into being. So with this I come to what the GIS can compute. GIS can compute location, your own position, in the form of coordinate, in the form of latitude, longitude, altitude, easting, northing, maybe range and azimuth. I can tell you location in 10 different ways. How far it's from mean sea level, all things. Location can be in 10 different ways. Height I can measure also in is a mean sea level height, orthographic height, height from the space, geometric height, geodesic height. So height can be measured in 10 different ways by GIS. Distance I can have at least 4 or 5 ways. One of the distance when I measure from one position of Earth to another position of Earth along with the terrain surface is known as geodesic distance. Geodesic distance is different than that of the geometric distance between 2 points in a Cartesian coordinate that is being represented by square root of x1 minus x2 square plus y1 minus y2 square plus z1 minus z2 square. It is about how do the distance goes along with the geode surface, that is geodesic distance. The distance along the earth surface is known as geodesic distance. Is a distance different than the planimetric distance, different than a spatial distance in space. When the crow flies, that distance is different. When actually measure along the road, the distance is different. Measure along the curvature of earth, the distance is different. That is known as geodesic distance. And the direction from true north, from magnetic north, from deviated north, all things you can have direction. Area can be represented in orthomorphic area, planimetric area, surface area, cumulative area. Similarly, volume can be also computed in this thing can be measured in 2-3 ways. Azimuth, elevation, curvature, slope, aspect, curvature, azimuth, elevation, all things for a terrain surface can be measured using a geographical information system. Therefore, we can have very interesting queries. I will say, if this is a river, this is a road, and this is a river, and this road is crossing this river, there must be a bridge here, bridge here. Possible? Can I bring an intelligent interpretation? Right now, an intelligent human being who is well versed with this map data and with this interpretation of terrain objects and this symbolic notations, can only interpret, say, okay, a road is almost crossing a river. I am sure there must be some way it must be crossing. Can I have an maybe a culvert, maybe a bridge must be there. Similarly, suppose I need to have a casualty evacuation in the forward zone, undulated terrain. Where should I find a planar surface of about 100 meter by 100 meter with no vegetation around, with a road nearby, so that maybe a soldier who is wounded has to be evacuated. Maybe immediately we have to make a helicopter to land and can take him away. How do I find? How do I find an area within a terrain? So I need to have slope, aspect, area, the clearance of the zone where a helicopter can land. How do I find? It's about a multi-criteria decision analysis. Slope should be less than 3 degrees, no vegetation there, near to a road, having 100 by 100 meter pre-area. Can I make a helipad instantly for a casualty evacuation? This is a thing I need to compute on terrain. This is an intelligence which is which need to be quickly computed and told to the field commander to take a decision. I'm sure it is not possible through a manual method. Even if it is being done, it has to be done a prior, and it is very difficult for somebody go survey the land. Similarly, you can say, if I place some sensors over here, to this location in the enemy side, whether both the sensor can see, one sensor can see, whether the point is first of all illuminated by the sensor or not. How do I? Because the sensor's illumination is not visible practically. So across things, whether the elements in the enemy side or the other side, the hostile side, can this particular sensor can view it? Can in this point both the sensor can view? Can I fuse and find out with a degree of certainty, yes, there is something there? This is a very important information a battle commander requires. Okay, and this is known as intelligence, because it's actionable intelligence. For me to position my artillery guns, to position my sensor, to position my radar. So that is very important to know this. Similarly, how do I place my my sensors? Which are the areas it can see? Which are the areas it can see? Which are the areas it cannot see? How do I do? So taking spatio-temporal disposition of the terrain and the characteristic of the sensor that we are placing, where I should place that all the area which is looking here green, all the areas should be looking green, so that I can see to the enemy area actually going there. This is a very important intelligence information which is required for the battle commander. Without actually venturing into the hostile territory, how do I know some of the informations? Therefore, now comes this to compute this kind of intelligence. Artificial intelligence has to change itself. Now, artificial intelligence is only computing large volume of data which is not special in nature, business data day in day out coming from the civil sector, be it is vehicle movement, be it is traffic, be it is sales data, be it is a bank's transaction data. These data is being computed by artificial intelligence to give a decision whether you can give a loan, whether it's safe to give somebody a loan or not, or what is his rating for giving a loan, which is the targeted audience which can be given a loan. These are all done by artificial intelligence nowadays. How it takes the data which is being acquired by the bank or by some financial institution, then they use the predictive intelligence methods to compute and come out with. Now, can these methods be used? Therefore, the branch of computing science attempting to build machines and systems capable of intelligent behavior. So I'm just giving some basic definition of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a basic branch of computing science which attempts to build machines and systems capable of intelligent behavior. Artificial intelligence is a interdisciplinary or discipline which impart ability to computing machine to learn rather than being programmed explicitly. So machine learning, what it learns about possible data, possible event, and taking the possible data and event, what kind of behavior the machine is supposed to do. It can be a robot, it can be a computing, it can be an unmanned aerial vehicle, how it will behave and what are the action it can take based on this event and data. So artificial intelligence is about all possible data, event, behavior, action put together, how a machine can be trained so that it can take appropriate action. So machine learning forms a part of artificial intelligence. So taking artificial intelligence, if I just have to take some of the emerging contributing fields, it is about learning, machine learning, deep learning, transfer learning. It is about maybe super learning. All predictive analysis put together can be called as machine learning. Machine learning using artificial intelligence, neural network, ANN. Okay. Then machine translation. Machine translation, about NLP, natural language processing, about how do you take large volume of different text and find out topics, find out actionable intelligence, find out similar words, find out can you make use of that completely, create a vocabulary to translate from one language to another, is about natural language. Then can we have a classification and clustering of similar events, similar words, similar sentences, similar topics, similar images, classification and clustering. And then information extraction. Can I extract information from here? Can I find out a emerging topic? Can I find what the new topic that can be taken up? That is about natural language processing. Then can I convert the speech to text? When I'm speaking, can it be converted into a text? Can my analog speech be converted to a digital speech? From digital speech, take out the pause that I am doing, take out the repetition that I am doing. Can I just make a textual interpretation of my speech, text to speech? Similarly, speech to text. Given a text, can it is already been done. I can just read listen to a PDF. A PDF text, can I just listen? Possible. All is about artificial intelligence. Can based on this, we can have expert systems, whether it is an expert of 100 doctors predicting about a oncological state of affairs of a human being, predicting whether about a true positive or a true negative of a person may be affected by oncology, by some disease. Can it be done? Can an expert of doctors, can an expert of weather forecaster, can an expert of business intelligence people, can they predict about something? Then planning and scheduling and optimization. Then robotics, whether it is unmanned ground vehicle, aerial vehicle, underwater vehicle, how it should maneuver, what it should do, how it should acquire data. Actually, the human going that and maneuvering that, robotics. Image recognition, can I understand which part of the world a particular satellite image belongs to? Can I understand from large from a oblique photography the face of a human being? machine vision, all things form part of artificial intelligence. Therefore, if I put domain specific how artificial intelligence is addressing the data procured by remote sensing, photogrammetry, geodesy in GIS. So I call now AI and GIS. GIS itself is a collaborative field. As you know, this AI itself is collaborating with so many fields where AI and GIS meet. So intelligent search engine, all you know that Google engine that we are using is a very brilliant search engine. It can search, taking your voice command into making to text, and can search anything and can throw you very interesting findings from the www. So can I have a search of a spatiotemporal in nature, a spatiotemporal objects in satellite images? Can I find an object from the entire Earth? Can I find a specific object? I'll say take entire India satellite image, find out all the bridges that is being made over the thing, all the railway bridges. Can I find how tedious it is for a single person to do it? Can a machine do these things after proper training? Find out where are all the airfields in India. Find out all railway stations in India. Find out all terrain which are about maybe 700 above the mean sea level and about 100 meter less than the mean sea level. Can I find all the terrain? So therefore, finding objects from aerial images, classification of the satellite images into natural classes, and spatiotemporal clustering are very interesting, which is required for a search engine to search from satellite images. Then suggestion of this similar medical diagnosis, as a oncology, cancer diagnosis. Can we find a change in the two multi-dated satellite images of the same area? What the change has undergone? In case AI used in medical, it can detect a cancerous cell, a change in the human body, and can tell it's cancerous or not with a true positive of almost 1, or a true negative, yeah, it is not. So it is basically a change detection, change identification, and change mapping of cancerous cell. So can I do that? Change pixel detection, classification of the change, and identification of what change has happened from one to another. And can I say this object is very hostile to me? What is happening? Maybe a tracked vehicle which has come to my area is very hostile. Credit rating for enterprises. Can are a human being credit rating? Can I have a threat perception through persistent surveillance of the spatial data? You take different financial and all other data of a human being from the bank and say whether he should be given the it is safe to give him credit or not. Similarly, can I say whether a particular I surveillance a particular spatial area and say no, this is a very vulnerable point, or this is a very point which is having a lot of threat, therefore I should engage my defense there. Terrain profiling, like customer profiling, can I do a terrain profiling? Like face recognition using PCI CLD, can I detect objects of military interest? Identify and isolate from a plethora of objects. Anomaly detection, can I detect and identify a friend or a foe? Aeroplane, a conglomeration of aeroplane or aerial object flying. Can I say this is an hostile object within very precise time so that I'll engage? As you know, earlier we engaged our own helicopter. About 11 Air Force people died. Still under, yeah. During last lockdown, it has happened. Okay. Similarly, there was some thing has happened into a flying object. Right now in Jammu, something has happened. Can I quickly say this flying object is a object of not friendly nature? Can I, with the precision, engage and eliminate it? Because I don't have the luxury of time to decide and act. So can I minimize the observe, orient, decide, and act so that I can classify the aerial object into hostile and non-hostile, friendly or non-friendly, and engage depending upon that with a ground-based weapon to eliminate it. Very, very important. Okay. Therefore, right now data obtained from aerial means are being high spectral resolution, high spatial resolution, and therefore we have to find out how to compute these high spectral, multispectral, hyperspectral images and classify them into natural classes, identify which are non-natural element, then find out which are hostile or not, and find out which is our military interest, which is undergone a change. Multi-criteria, then use multi-criteria decision analysis for suitable location. Can AI address these kind of things? Is right now is the question. When we are getting the intelligence in real time, it is not spatial intelligence, it is spatio-temporal intelligence. Is in space and time. The intelligence has to be, if you can get a credit rating of a person, maybe if not today, not in 1 hour, maybe in 5 hours, in 5 days, it's okay. It's not a mission critical thing. But engaging with an aerial object within precision of second is very, very mission critical. It saves Arhita life, isn't it? So how AI can be used with a degree of precision to predict these things in spatio-temporal phenomena, which is of military interest, using remote sensing in GIS is a very, very important thing. Therefore, AI GIS addresses the thing of us, how I can make use of AI for visualization of terrain using scale space visualization, classification of satellite images, change mapping, operation, creation of operation map, preparation using aerial images, classification of the satellite images using, of course, SVM or different variants of support vector machine, random forest classification, then classification using principal component transform, independent component transformation, linear discriminant analysis, then having a change vector analysis, having a GLCM, gray label co-occurrence matrix. All these are computing methods which were using definite, computing AI. So AI methods which are very definite computing things being used for earlier GIS is these things. Now that can I do a pan sharpening of a low resolution radiometric image with a high resolution spectral and high resolution spatial image? Can I create a better image, synthetic image? Can I have land use, land cover analysis and find out what the change, whether the change, identify the change, whether the change has happened from a construction has happened, a bunker is made, a 2D surface has undergone a variation for 3D, or a new building has been made? Can I make use of artificial neural network in the form of CNN, RNN, DNN, transfer learning, super learning, and conglomerate of this learning to classify the satellite image and find out hostile elements? Or classify them actually into natural classes, vegetation, water, road, buildings? Can I do that? That itself is very, very important. I can have our natural class classification gives us how do I estimate our natural assets, how much of that is sea, how much is sweet water, potable water, how much is urbanization has happened, how much vegetation, what kind of vegetable will be produced by this area, what kind of food grains can be produced, whether the country is in food grain by SAFE, and we have all things can be computed using classification of satellite images. Then creation of orthomosaic generation using Bundleberg adjustment, using the images that we obtain from UAV. In fact, all image recognition, all these things can be, which are traditional GIS applications, can be addressed by various artificial intelligence methods and algorithms. Earlier, these were computing methods. Now it is deep learning, neural learning, recurrent neural network, deep neural network, tunnel neural network, and using transfer learning and using super learning. All those things can be possible. And therefore, you can see this is a piece of satellite image, one small piece. Probably aeroplanes are docked, some aeroplanes has left. So this particular image has undergone a transformation, physical, but it is a 3D transformation. 3D changes happen. Both 2D and 3D has happened. So these are the changes. These are the 3D changes has happened. Can I find these changes? You can see this is an urban area. This is earlier this urban area is. The new road has been constructed, new houses has been constructed, new buildings, and this road and 3D. So there some 3D construction has happened. So these are the new buildings which has been constructed. This new road has been for a civic authority or for a terrain analysis. It's a very of great importance. You cannot go and physically find these things out. It will erroneous. But here computer can give you with a degree of precision. Okay, these are the 3D changes has happened in this particular area. Okay. Similarly, you can see this in satellite image. You cannot make out. Only a specialist satellite image interpreter can do it. You can see these are the under changes. Changes has happened. You can see this lake, and this lake has expanded because of more water. Actually, these are the changes which has happened. So, can I extract from two satellite images of the same area, taken at two different times? Can I register them accurately and find out which are changes? If changes has happened, whether the changes are 2D and 3D nature, means whether a new building has come, new excavation has been done, or a two-storied building was there, it has been made to 5-storied. All things can be computed. Then what kind of changes? Then is the changes of having some intelligence? Can I find out? Very, very important. These are all. You see this particular lake, how much water has accumulated, how much more water has come. This is actually the Kavani Dam in Mysuru. See, this is the summer, this is where rain, more water has come. Now nobody can tell, no, water is not there, therefore I will not leave it to some other state or not. Possible scientific answer to this. Then how much water, how much volume of water has been accumulated over. You can make use of this algebraic change detection techniques here and do it. You can see a satellite image. You can clearly see a road. But to somebody, because this is a linear feature, it's a road. Somebody who knows what is a satellite image is. So therefore, this is a road. Isn't it? When this is a road, this is a water body. A road passing through a water body must have something, a bridge, because the vehicular traffic has to cross that water body through a road. So we can clearly see, is there any construction or a particular over flyover has been made or not. So this is also a water body. So this kind of interpretation of the satellite image in the other area where we cannot go is about intelligence, is about spatial intelligence, intelligence obtained from the spatial data. And if it is in time, is a spatio-temporal intelligence, and this is known as geointelligence. You can see this particular area is being surveilled for persistently because something may be happening, because this particular water body is a threat to this particular road. Sometime when the water body goes spells, this may overflood this, therefore causing a threat to the passing by thing, or somebody actually breach. It can result into a great amount of into this area, this particular area. It may create a flash flood. So you need to keep persistently surveillance them through UAV. Possible? Can you find out at this point of time? No, I must give a warning bell to everybody not to cross this road or evacuate this place. Very, very important. Therefore, the satellite, the terrain, quickly taking the instantaneous field of the profile of the terrain through the instantaneous field of view, do an similarity transformation. So this is the satellite image, instantaneous field of view obtained by this UAV. Take earlier obtained satellite image, register them, and in fact you can track the objects which are going. Can I track an object and make this UAV to track and find out whether it is a clandestine object, whether it is a tracked vehicle which is maneuvering not through the road, whether it is a tank and a hostile tank? Possible. This is about geospatial, spatio-temporal intelligence is about. And lot of methods are, can AI NN do it? These are all pure computations as of now. Can neural network do it? Yes, it can. So can I visualize the orbit across the enemy territory? Orbit means order of the battle. How? What is the disposition of enemy? What is the strength of the enemy? What kind of, whether 3 battalions, infantry battalions are positioned against our thing, and this is how the disposition of enemy across the road is. This where is our disposition. These are where the mines are being put. So this is where a safe zone is. Generally enemy will not come through a safe zone, will try to come through other than whatever the traditional communication things. Therefore the tanks, anti-personnel and anti-tank mines are being laid, and that is where I require defense. So this is where my defense is, where and what are the enemy dispositions, where are their sensors, all things. Can I visualize that without actually going to the deep into the enemy territory? Can I find these things from satellite image? Very, very important. Therefore geo intelligence about, okay, given a picture of the particular maybe Beijing airport, what kind of aeroplanes objects are there? Is there an aeroplane which is having a not civilian aeroplane, having something capability other than a civilian aeroplane? What kind of, can it carry a weapons of mass destruction? How do I? First I need to find out how many airplanes are there. Which is the next aeroplane which has come into this whole thing? These are all fighter jets. They're positioned for what? They are all civil airplanes. Can I find that? Can I find which are the ships which are being positioned here? I cannot go directly physically survey it. Not possible. So I have to take aerial images. These remotely sensed images, aerial images, satellite images has to be made to ortho images, and that has to be made like an map, putting the map transformation, putting the WGS84, putting the spheroid, geoid, ellipsoid model, make it like a digital map, extract the object, find their location capability, and their offensive, defensive capability, carrying capability, location, all things to find geospatial intelligence. Therefore, geospatial intelligence it is about this terrain. Think of this terrain in of Jaisalmer. This is Jaisalmer. It's pure desert between Indo-Pak border. Can I classify the terrain using gray level co-occurrence matrix? Using deep neural network, you know each of these sand dunes are something around 3 kilometer by 3 kilometer pure dunes of sand. Means you cannot cross with any vehicle. Can a tank, which is a tracked vehicle, can negotiate? And these are something known as very interesting thing known as, they call in local daldal, means some water thing which can actually tank cannot cross. Can I classify the terrain into good going, bad going, partial going, no going? Hello? Hello? Give me a ring after 2 hours. Thank you. Okay, so classifying the terrain into good going, non going, partial going, difficult going from a point of view of the tracked vehicle or a class vehicle. So this is where the Indo-Pak border is Indian side. Pak border is, you can see the vast international thing, and the sand dunes are keep shifting. Today, if I have to classify the terrain and make a map known as cross-country going map for different kind of vehicles, is it possible manually to carry out these things every year? Not possible. Can artificial intelligence do it? Yes. Can I train the physically survey someplace, train that thing to a artificial neural network to make such a map? Possible. 1,000 maybe 500 kilometer by 500 kilometer terrain. I have to classify them to go good going, partial going, not going by a tank. This is what we can do through an artificial intelligence method, and it's very, very challenging. And can you think a tracked vehicle? You say it is not a wheel. It's a wheel come a track. Wheel and tracked vehicle, small autonomous tracked robot with a precision guided munition on it, and a neural network which can find the target, locate the target, identify is a friend or foe, and can engage. Is about geo intelligence and geo action. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible, doable. Actually, it is a figure of Israeli thing. In a desert, it has been tested. Means actually human, it is a much more than a human soldier. You can see the sensors looking at the objects. You can see different sensors and the weapon and the communication and the locomotion, everything put together. It is a precision guided munition and a track platform for engaging, finding enemy, finding an hostile enemy. Therefore, there are lot scope of research and lot scope of artificial intelligence to build into this. With this, I come to end of my talk. Thank you. Any question? Please, you can.
Hello,
Yeah.
sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible to me.
Hello, sir. I am Ankush, and I would like to ask, like, there are different sensors, and many of the sensors are capturing the data in different map projections.
Yes.
So, how do they capture in different projection? Means, of course, there are certain algorithms or there are certain terminology, but how do they work, like in
Yeah.
different capturing?
See, I'll tell you. Now, a single object is being tracked by one radar. Radar is a sensor. It has different wavelength, different range. Similarly, same object being tracked by another radar with different wavelength. Therefore, they acquire the same object through different wavelength, different range, different techniques, and different spectrum of the electromagnetic wave. They can be fused together to find accurately the location of the object in the space. That is in the form of latitude, longitude, and up. Similarly, a object if can be found down in the sea with a sidewise sonar by a point sonar, same object, this data can be fused on board computer. This is multi-sensor, multi-spectral data fusion techniques. One of the techniques is take a image obtained by LIS, which is about 12 meter. I mean, 1 pixel is equal to 12 meter on the ground, by Cartosat 1A, that is about 0.6 meter is equal to 1 pixel. Can these two data be fused to get another data which has high spectral and high spatial resolution? So a far better visualization of terrain can be done. Pan sharpening possible. So multi-sensor data fusion, pan sharpening, these are the things which are being used for remotely sensed objects for finding accurate location. I hope I made sense.
Yes, sir. But means I have a keen interest to know, like, when we'll capture the data using the drone, then they usually gave us in a map projection of North 44 zone. But Sentinel Landsat, like satellites, used to give in North 43 zone. Like Modis is giving in the sinusoidal. So how actually they'll decide? It is decided like.
So first, I told very beginning itself something known as. I hope you are still seeing my slides.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Isn't it? I have done this particular thing. If you see this, you can see this.
Yes, sir.
A UAV taking the instantaneous field of view of the terrain.
Yeah.
You capture this.
Yes, sir.
Because the UAV sensor is somewhere in shock vibration up and down, the image will not be perfect. And he may be taking an oblique image. Can I do a affine transformation to this? I am establishing a affine transformation. This point is equal to this. In this instantaneous field of view, this point is equal to this point in this satellite image. Is it possible? It is possible through scale invariant feature transform.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
then
sir, yes.
After this, taking these 3-point correspondence, I make an affine transformation. Therefore, I can make an ortho mosaic of the particular area that is being seen by this UAV. You take various snapshots of the instantaneous field of view, make an ortho mosaic, register with the satellite image, then you will find both the images are same. From there, in fact, when I put this, in fact, we are tracking this image using something known as grayscale co-occurrence matrix and mean shift algorithm. Mean shift means mean of this particular area shifting. Okay, you can track, you can do. In fact, we are doing something known as geopointing and geolocation. Finding the location of an object viewed by the real platform. Locating and geopointing means pointing the sensor to what azimuth elevation so that it can come in the field of view. It's being possible. I hope I made a sense.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other question? I hope I am within time first of all, or I have exceeded the time. Professor Gontia? Is Professor Devsis?
No, sir, you still have till 1:15.
Oh, till 1:15 is there, huh?
Yes, sir. You
Then
can
I have
still clear
plenty of
your
time.
doubts.
Then I think I have
Yes,
grasped
sir.
my, because when you give the time, okay, so still some more questions I can answer if somebody has. I thought I am because I actually rushed through the slides thinking that I may exceed the time. So sorry. So any other questions?
Sir, I think, sir, there is no more questions. So we can stop the program here.
So thank you very much. So I thanks the organizer, thanks Professor Devsis and the organizing committee of CET to give me a opportunity to put some of the research finding that we are carrying out. This is not my individual work. It is a team of scientists who are working in the geographical information system division of Center of Artificial Intelligence and Robotics carrying out this research. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for your precious words. Your words will definitely create a great impact on knowledge-seeking minds. I hope our participants must have extracted a lot from this session. Queries are always welcome in the chat box, so please feel free to share your questions, participants. Okay, so we are really grateful to you, sir. This presentation definitely bears a vital role in affecting the audience positively and productively. We
Thank you
cannot
very
thank you enough.
Thank you for your kind words. Okay, so I stop here.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So moving forward,
Thank you all.
yes, it's time for our lunch break, ladies and gentlemen. We will meet for the next session exactly at 2:30 p.m. After the break for another interesting session on case studies of artificial intelligence and machine learning. To make our grip much stronger in the field of AI and ML, we have another fabulous personality who is going to address us soon after this break. The links has been generated and has been sent to you all through your mail IDs and also in the WhatsApp group. So please be on time. Don't be late. We will see you. Thank you all.